Welcome to How to Talk to Kids About Anything with Dr. Robyn Silverman, a podcast loaded with practical tips, powerful scripts, personal stories, and simple steps to make even the toughest conversations easier. So get ready to get the information you need to make the impact you want from someone you trust, your friend, parenting expert, Dr. Robyn Silverman.
You are going to love this episode. I'm so thrilled for you to be here because I am welcoming back a guest that I have absolutely loved. You are going to gain so much from her. And I know that you love her because you've been asking for her to come back since the last time. So can I ask you a favor before you jump in to this great podcast? Can you go to iTunes and rate and review it so other people can learn about my outstanding guests and these great conversations? Those 5-star reviews mean everything to us, and they continue to put us on the map and get our guests out there, their books out there, which are blessing everybody. And that's where they deserve to be, out front, on top, and ruling the show. So thank you. Let's get on with the show. Big feelings. Here we are. Big feelings are hard to handle, especially when they belong to various humans who happen to be in our lives or in our homes. Whether it's toddler tantrums or tween meltdowns, parents and educators alike are often left wondering, what do I do in this moment? Today's guest, Alyssa Blask Campbell, is here once again to help us understand what's happening behind emotional outbursts and how we can respond with intention rather than react out of frustration. I need to hear this myself because we are all in the same boat. With her background in emotional development and years of experience working with young children and their caregivers, she brings a powerful message about raising emotionally intelligent kids. We'll be talking about the strategies outlined in her new book coming out today called Big Kids, Bigger Feelings, coming on the heels of her last best-selling book, Tiny Humans, Big Emotions, which came out on the very same day as How to Talk to Kids About Anything. We were book twins, birthday twins. We loved having that time together. I'm so excited to be able to support this book this time. So good. If you're looking on YouTube, here it is. Pop, pop, pop. I got a pre-approved proof, but it's uncorrected. You're going to get the real thing out today. And this focuses on complex emotions of school-age children. If you've ever wondered how to support your child's emotional growth while navigating the chaos of everyday life, this conversation is for you and you and you and you and you, and you're here in the right place. Alyssa Blask Campbell is the CEO of Seed and Sow, an emotional development platform supporting parents, educators, and caregivers worldwide. She holds a master's degree in early childhood education and is the co-writer of the Collaborative Emotion Processing Method, CEP method, which she researched extensively across the U.S. Alyssa is a leading expert in emotional intelligence and the author of the best-selling book, as I mentioned, Tiny Humans, Big Emotions, out the same day as How to Talk to Kids About Anything. And this second book, Big Kids, Bigger Feelings, is out today. Her work has helped thousands of families better understand and respond to children's big feelings with emotion, empathy, and connection. Alyssa's mission is simple but powerful: to change how adults experience children's emotions so we can raise emotionally resilient kids together. You are going to love this. Anybody who gets frustrated, stressed out, is responding, reacting to their kids when they are having big emotions, or when they themselves are having big emotions, me included, we're very, very much in the right place at the right time. Welcome back to How to Talk to Kids About Anything, Alyssa Blask Campbell.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here. Loved being your book twin last time, and am jazzed to get to come hang out with you for this one.
This is very exciting. So we have started a new tradition here on How to Talk to Kids About Anything. We start the podcast off with a game we call High-Low Buffalo. I don't know if you've heard it before, but I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay. So it's where you give a high in your life, a low in your life. And an interesting fact most people may not know about you. And as you gather your thoughts, I'll give you an example from my life. My recent high, I have this really exciting new conversations cards pack that is out right now, it's providing parents and families with conversation starters that they've been asking me for a million years since the book came out, challenge questions, mantras, definitions, connection prompts to teach their kids what I studied going through my PhD program and what I based my book on, which is the 6 C's of positive youth development. So confidence, competence, character, connection, caring, and contribution, and even provide a seventh C, which is challenge. That it's providing a flow of exactly how to work on that area of development, whether it's mindset or accountability or self-regulation, dealing with mistakes, empathy, kindness, self-control, all the good stuff. So I'm super excited about this card pack that is available to you, anybody who's listening, on my website. It's on drrobynsilverman.com/cards. So if you want to get to that, that is awesome. And oh boy, my gym closed. The gym that is down the street, walkable distance, has closed. I am so hoping it reopens. I'm very upset about this. It is like a life changer for me. We literally like get up in the morning, my husband and I, and we walk down to the gym, 2 minutes down the street, and there we are at the gym. Like we had our class, our community. We know the people who come at the same time as us. I'm so frustrated. So we're like running around trying different gyms right now, and it just doesn't feel the same. Boo. Okay, and my buffalo is my dog howls with fire engines. It is hilarious. He'll be outside on the step where his like favorite spot on the front porch, and if one goes by, he sounds just like the fire engine, alerting the entire neighborhood that help is on the way. And you, Alyssa.
Yes. Well, my high today is an easy one that this book is finally out into the world. After Tiny Humans published, we pretty quickly were getting messages from folks that were like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. Also, why is my 9-year-old a teenager? Like, what do I do with this?
Yes.
And so super stoked to have a resource in folks' hands. And we have had the privilege of partnering with multiple school districts who have done book buys for teachers and families in their school districts, which is so rad because I think of the impact of all of the teachers that are getting this and all the kids that they're going to see and the families in those school districts. So that is my high.
That is a high. Yes.
High. And my low is that someone so near and dear to us who we did everyday life with just moved across the country to do her master's in social work, which we're so excited for her for. But she was like another parent to my children and was very involved in our lives. And so we are really missing her.
Ooh, I saw that on Facebook. I saw your
Oh,
pictures. Yeah.
sweet Gabby, we love her. And my buffalo fun fact about me is that I couldn't really smell or taste until I was 19. I had surgery and I had a deviated septum and a bone had grown into the open side, and so I couldn't smell or taste, but I didn't know that what I was experiencing was any different than anybody else until I went to an ENT one day I had like an infection, and I went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they did this test, and I passed out because they like covered your mouth and I had to breathe through tubes in my nose. And I passed out because I couldn't breathe through my nose.
Oh my goodness.
And wound up having surgery and could start tasting and smelling a whole lot
That must
more.
have been something for you.
So wild.
Did you find at that point, like, you've gained like a favorite food and like, or a least favorite food?
Totally. So I had largely up until that point, I could taste bitter, sweet, sour, and spicy. And I couldn't taste like flavors of things. I did a lot of eating based on texture. So I like didn't like peanut butter because it just felt sticky, right? And like now I love like nut butters.
Yeah.
Throw me a nut butter. I love cottage cheese now. Before that was just lumpy and salty. And
oh my gosh, what a weird texture to deal with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I also fish. I've gotten into like fish, which I did not like because it was just a weird texture as well.
Hey.
So yeah,
that is super interesting. Thank you for that, buffalo.
About 20 years into smelling and tasting.
We now know you better. I'm loving this. Okay. So your book, as I mentioned, Big Kids, Bigger Feelings, out today. When you introduce your book, you start with emotional intelligence. This makes sense. This is your wheelhouse. This is what you talk about a lot. You talk about the connection between self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-control. Can you help us understand how these three things connect to our emotions and how we can start to help kids work on these, develop these instead of just telling them, feel better,
Yeah.
come on, get over it.
100%. Well, I think so often what we want is self-control. We want kids and ourselves to choose our words, choose our actions, to choose our tone, our body language, that when they come in and they're like, oh, fine, that we want them to be able to say, hey, I'm having a hard time, or I've had a hard day today, or I don't like when you do that, instead of like, whatever, with the eye roll. And right, you know it
You've been
well.
to my house. Okay.
I've been to my house. And when we're looking at this, and we're looking at that self-control piece, what we know is that you need to have access to your whole brain to access self-control. You need to have access specifically to your prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have access to that when we're in a dysregulated state. That part of our brain goes offline. And so in order to access self-control, we need to have skills for regulation. We need to be able to self-regulate. But the kicker is a lot of kids can tell us outside the moment what they should do or shouldn't do, what's right or what's wrong. If I'm mad, I should say I need space instead of throwing my backpack on the ground. But in the moment, they're still doing the same thing over and over again, because what we often miss is self-awareness. And that is the key to the rest of it. That if you're not aware of what does it feel like in my body when I'm feeling frustrated, when, as my son says, that volcano is building before it erupts, like he'll say, I can feel that volcano, mom. And
Mm-hmm.
it means like he feels it bubbling up and he's going to burst. And that volcano means, okay, now I need to tap into tools for regulation. Now I need to access things to calm my body so I can get back to a place where I can choose my words, choose my actions, have access to all of my tools, or more of them at least. And so often we skip that part, that we have kids who they can't tell us, what does it feel like in your body when you're getting mad? What does it feel like in your body when you feel embarrassed, when you're
Right.
disappointed, when you're left out? And if they can't tell you that, they can't regulate in the moment to choose their words, choose their actions, choose their tone.
Mm-hmm.
And so often we got to go back to that beginning part of like, oh yeah, I noticed that when you are feeling frustrated, your voice gets loud and your shoulders go up to your ears and your voice starts going really fast. When you
Mm-hmm.
start to notice those things, that's a key that, oh, I'm frustrated. I need to take a pause.
Mm-hmm.
When I want to say more, I need to say less.
Mm. Love that. Love that. We had Jefferson Fisher on the podcast, and he said, let your breath be your first word." And I just love the way that he said that, and I think that really says exactly what you're saying here. That we need to take that pause and wait, because whatever's about to come out of our mouth in the moment, in that reactive moment, is probably not what we would want to say if we were looking back on the moment later.
That's right.
So it gives us perspective. So people often poo-poo the idea of self-care, another thing that you talk about, because we usually think of like bath bombs and facials, and we're like, I have no time for bath bombs and facials. They're lovely. We just have no time for that. But that is not the way you talk about self-care in this book. You talk about proactive self-care and reactive self-care as a tool to cope with big emotions. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Yes, absolutely. So when we're looking at self-care, I'm truly looking at how do you take care of yourself throughout the day. What's key here is that you have to understand how your unique nervous system works. That the way that I take care of myself is actually different than the way that my husband takes care of himself. Our nervous systems are very different. We recently were going on a vacation. We were going to be all together with the two kids for 10 days. And
Mm,
prior to this, we were like, all right, let's take the weekend before. And he had a day where I was like, do whatever you want for you. And I had a day where it was like, do whatever I want for me for chunks of the day.
mhm.
And his, like, whatever he wanted was going to a record store by himself with AirPods in, listening to what he wants to listen to, going to lunch by himself. He sat outside at a place by the river and just like chilled by himself. My self-care, what was going to fill me up, was going shopping with my friends. Then we went out to dinner and hung out, and then we went down by the lake and hung, and it was fully in a group setting, going and doing very different things, because what my nervous system needs and thrives on is different than his. So we're looking at self-care. The problem with just get a massage or get a facial or go have that bath with that bath bomb is that that's not the best thing for every human. We dive into some nerdiness with y'all in this book. We look at the 9 sensory systems.
You know, I love that stuff.
I love it. So that you can understand how your nervous system works and all the humans in your family. In fact, we have a QR code a couple times placed throughout the book for a free questionnaire. You can take it. It's seedquiz.com. If you don't have the book in hand yet and you're like, give me that questionnaire, seedquiz.com. It is comprehensive. You put in the date of birth of the human you're taking it for, their age range, and then you can find out how does their nervous system work. I want to get nerdy with you here for a second, Robyn. Let's look at these 9 sensory systems so people can get a taste of it. We often hear of our first 5 senses, right? That's sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. There are 4 others that we don't talk a whole lot about. We have our vestibular system. This is responsible for our movement and balance. It's located in our inner ear. It keeps us upright. You know, when you get like vertigo and you're kind of dizzy, woozy, that's all related to your vestibular system. And for some of us, we're sensitive to vestibular input, like spinning or swinging or going upside down. We recently went to an amusement park with the kids, and oh my gosh, my son talked me into going on this ride with him. It was so vestibular. And he is a vestibular seeker, right? And so he's loving it. We're spinning, we're dipping upside down. We're like, oh, I got off and I was like, I am going to throw up. I am vestibular sensitive.
And it also changes as you get older, Alyssa.
It does.
I was like fine for a while. And then my daughter asked me to get on this roller coaster at Hershey Park. I was sick for the remainder of the day. I had a headache. I could not deal with that roll. I was like, I used to love roller coasters. I couldn't deal with it anymore.
It's true. Actually, it's a great point that there are 2 of these 9 that can change throughout life. Our vestibular system changes as we get older. And then the other one that can change is our neuroceptive sense. Neuroception is what I call our spidey sense. You know, when you like walk into the room and 2 people have been arguing, they've been in conflict, and they're not anymore, but you can feel it. You're like, oh, there's some awkward energy in here. That is your neuroceptive sense at work. It is reading the energy of the room. And really what it does is keep you safe. It's designed to say like, I was recently at a rest stop and I was standing there like getting ready to check out with some stuff. And I just like had that feeling of like somebody's looking at me or whatever, or around me. And I like turned and there was this human just like kind of a little too close in an uncomfortable way who was just like looking at me, and my daughter is in my arms. And it's that neuroceptive sense saying like something's off that you need to notice. That's the other sense that can change, because that can change with trauma, where your nervous system says, oh, the last time we put on this jacket and went outside, something hard happened or something bad happened. And so your neuroceptive sense says, ooh, that jacket, you're not safe. Don't put that on. So your neuroceptive sense is always looking for like, how do I keep you safe? And
you know what's so funny, Alyssa, is like that one develops so early. You know, like we were at a party when my kid was 3 months old.
Yeah.
And, people wanted to hold her and And we put her in somebody's arms. That girl screamed. And it wasn't once, it was like 6 times. Now that could have been us feeding into that, of course, like her sensing us. And also could have been her sensing them or the energy or whatever it was,
100%.
but she knew it.
Yeah, we have it from birth, and it is so key because it does help keep us alive and keep us safe. And some people are neuroceptive sensitive where they are like high energy readers. These folks can really they can fall into like people pleasing because they want to shift the energy of the room. They're like, oh, I don't want it to be off because then I feel off. They can be codependent. We can start to see some of those patterns develop. They can have a really hard time feeling regulated and safe in a room where other humans aren't regulated. I have one of my children's neuroceptive sensitive and the other one's not. And my son is my neuroceptive sensitive one, and he'll walk in, and if something's off, if somebody's having a hard time, or even like if we say something, he'll say, "Why are you saying it with that face?" Where he like really notices your expressions, your tone. He's super sensitive to that. My daughter,
same way.
Yeah. And my daughter's not. And so she will like clock it where she'll say like, "Oh, that person's crying." But then she'll go right back to playing in a way that my son never has. Like for him, that person crying is so dysregulating for him that he is going to wait till they're done crying and that they're calm and they're safe. And he would, as a toddler, say, "Safe, safe."
Oh,
And we would say, "You're safe, bud. They're having a hard time. You're safe." And so, yes, it develops so early. And then we have our proprioceptive sense. This is where our body knows where it is in space. So it keeps us from bumping into things, plowing through things. If you have a kid who's like a bull in a china shop, they truly don't see where those things are and where their body ends. I have lower proprioceptive awareness. And so I always have like bruises on my legs because I like bump into the side of my bed or the couch when I'm turning the corner, the table, the chair. My body has a hard time knowing where do I end and something else begins. My husband is the exact opposite. He can like bob and weave between things, and his brain just clocks where his body ends and something else begins in a more heightened way. He's more aware of that. I have lower awareness there. What that means is the folks with lower proprioceptive awareness, we need more proprioceptive input. This looks like big body play, like jumping, running. If you have a kid who does not stop moving, or they're climbing all over things, they're jumping, or they love contact sports where they're kind of like hitting or smashing into other things or other people, they're probably proprioceptive seeking, where their body's saying, "Give me more of that. Let me know where I end and something else begins." I love this through like massage. I'm like, I could have a massage for 4 days. I'm like, I want more, like give me all of it.
Where somebody else be like, "Please stop touching me as soon as possible."
My husband is like, "I'll take a massage, but could take it or leave it. Doesn't really need it." I'm like, "Oh, I would have one every day."
Yeah, every day.
Love. And then we have our interoceptive system. This is our internal cue system. It lets us know, like, am I hungry? Am I tired? Do I have to go to the bathroom? It's also really key for that self-awareness because it lets us know, oh, my heart's beating fast or I'm getting sweaty. It helps notice those internal cues. For all of these, we all fall on the spectrum of sensitive to seeking, somewhere on that spectrum. And so that's in the questionnaire that we provide in the book and at seedquiz.com. That's what you can dive into. It'll show you the results of all 9 of those. Where do you fall on the sensitive to seeking? Are you smell sensitive? How sensitive? Are you smell seeking, where you're a human, you're like, "Yes, I want flowers in the house." And we have someone on our team who keeps an essential oil like roller in her purse to pop on her wrist. She like loves that. She loves cooking because she's like, "I love just the smells that come into the space when I'm cooking." She's seeking that input. And then you have a smell sensitive human who's like, "Oh, what is happening in here? Like, I need that essential oil roller off," or like, "No, I cannot have flowers in the house or a candle lit, etc."
Right.
And the point of all of this is that when you understand what you're sensitive to and then what you're seeking is what calms you. What you're sensitive to is what drains you. And so when it comes to self-care, if you want to take care of yourself, we need to know what's draining you all day long and then what's recharging you all day long. And when you know that, you can have accommodations sometimes or make space for, oh, these are things that drain me. For instance, we have this toy in our house that my mother-in-law, bless her, got my son that turns on, and it's this train toy, and it inevitably gets stuck in like the corner every time. It's like click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And I want to throw it out a window, right? Like I'm not the parent I want to be when this train is around. And so I learned for myself, this train cannot be a part of our morning routine when we're trying to get out the door for school. It just can't, because
Mhm.
I am not going to show up in the way that I want to. That train can come out after school. And so at the end of the night, it goes up in this closet and it doesn't come out until after school, because I'm a sound sensitive human. And so
Mhm.
for me, taking care
Wow.
of my nervous system means being mindful of the sounds around me. It also means looking at, okay, at little points throughout the day, I am going to have to move my body to get that proprioceptive input, or I'm going to wear a backpack. Like when we bring the kids into school, I actually wear one of their backpacks because I'm proprioceptive seeking and that child is not. And
Mm.
so I get a little proprioceptive input, or I'll give that child like a piggyback ride to the car because
Mm.
I'm proprioceptive seeking. So really looking at like, what are ways throughout the day that we can build this in to recharge our nervous system? And then same for our kids.
This was such a great explanation of self-care. Thank you so much for that. I don't think I've ever heard it explained in that way, so I really appreciate that layout. Now you talk about the five phases of emotional processing. That's allowing the emotion, recognizing the emotion, security, coping mechanisms, and moving on. I had this moment when I was reading your book, where I was like reading that part, and I was like, it's so interesting because many parents, and I've done this myself, of course. I mean, any of those things, right? They want to pass, they want to like bypass number one. They want to bypass the allowing the emotion piece. They want to jump to phase two, recognizing the emotion, and then jump to phase five,
Correct.
moving on in a
Yep.
flash. Okay, even though we know we can't really do this in a healthy manner, and it would actually kind of mean shoving it down and under the rug, pretending we don't have those feelings. Like this is not going to happen. But this is what so often we want. Like, don't get angry. Let's move on. So,
Correct.
what is some of the language we need to use with kids to help them feel secure in their emotions and offer coping mechanisms, that number 3 phase, that will work for them? We just talked about what will work for us, but how can we then now take that knowledge and help them to feel safe and secure in having their emotions, and also help them to explore some different coping mechanisms that will work for them, that may not work for us,
Mhm.
that we might think are ridiculous or silly or rude, like wanting to be by yourself when you're somebody who wants to be together and hug them. So how do we do that? How do we navigate that?
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was actually thinking of my son, who is a human, who we are very different, right? Like when I'm having a hard time, I'm like, oh my gosh, talk to me, tell me how great I am, validate the whole thing, touch me,
Yes.
let's have a hug. I want your
Please
hand
hug
on
me
me.
tightly.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I want to talk it out. Like that verbal processing is a
Hmm.
part of my coping.
Yeah.
It helps me start to regulate, it helps me feel safe. And my husband and son are very different. In fact, early on in our relationship, at one point, I was in conflict with my husband. And he at one point got in the shower because I kept following him around the house talking, and he's trying to get space. He's trying to walk away. And I just keep following him, filling the silence. And he just got in the shower. He's like,
Classic.
how do I escape her? And
I
this,
totally did that too. It would be
it's
I was a
so,
shower person. Yeah.
it's so real. And I now look back and I'm like, oh, thankful for that, because it has taught me so much about my son, in that when my son is having a hard time, it presents as rude. He is
Hmm.
going to walk away from you. He's going to say nothing. He's going to go take space. He's going to be by himself. He's going to say, go away. He will go in a room and shut a door. He does not want you to touch him, to offer a hug, to talk about what's going on. He needs silence and space and safety.
Yeah.
And it is it takes everything inside of me just to allow him to have that.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
And so when we're going through the 5 phases of emotion processing, allowing him to have a hard feeling, allowing always involves boundaries. So I won't let you hurt somebody's body. I won't let you scream in my face. And we talk about different examples of this in different age ranges in big kids, of like what it looks like to walk away from a kid and say, I'm not going to let you speak to me like that. I love you. I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to take space if you're going to be screaming in my face. And holding that boundary in the way that we did with toddlers with hitting. where we stopped them from hitting. And for a lot of us who grew up in households where no one ever returned to us to talk about it, it can feel like abandonment. Like they're having a hard time and I'm abandoning them in this moment. And what's different is that if I set this boundary and say, I won't let you speak to me like that, I love you. I'm going to come back and figure this out with you when we can both be kind. And then taking that space and then coming back to them and saying, oh man, we were having a really hard time there. It was really hard for us to be kind to each other. Let's figure this out now. Are you feeling ready? I noticed that your heart has slowed down. I know my heart has slowed down. A lot of us didn't get that. We didn't get the human who came back to us to then acknowledge what had happened, navigate any repair, move through that problem solving. So we talk about different scenarios there. But when we validate the emotion, depends on your kid in that recognizing their feeling phase 2. Some kids, like my daughter, are like, yes, tell me everything, validate this whole thing, talk so much. And my son, I'm going to say as little as possible. You really want to have that. It's not a choice right now. Pause.
It's like, you already said that, Mom. Move on.
Correct.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
Yeah.
Like, you said that once. I don't need to hear it again in
Correct.
10 different ways.
But you're right that then a lot of folks want to skip over phase 3. Phase 3 is
Right?
so huge. Phase 3 is the one that is really, really hard for us because it means allowing them to be in a feeling without making it go away. Where we say, you're safe to feel this. It means watching your child feel anxious, feel sad, feel left out, feel embarrassed, feel disappointed, and letting them know it's okay to feel this. It won't stay forever.
Right.
Do you want to know something so cool about our feelings? None of them stay for a long time. And it's like quicksand. If we try to make that anxiety go away, you're just sinking deeper into it. Yeah. If you try to make that sadness go away, you're just shoving it down until someone says, how are you? And everything releases.
And sometimes it's really ugly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you're like, what just happened? You and I both talk a lot about coping mechanisms and the importance of finding the right one for yourself. We just talked about it for us. And our kids also need that. My daughter's a shower girl. That is what she does to cope. She might take 3 a day at times. It depends on how she's feeling. And, other kids can't stand getting wet, right? They just, so that's not going to work for everybody. Some people are those big movement people, just like you were saying for yourself, and, exercise and running and big movements, jumping is what they need. Other people do need to process it, whether it's writing or drawing or talking it out. I often do love talking it out, but sometimes I need the shower first. So it can be a combo deal. And, so, is it a calming or a sensory need that they need for coping, that swaddled blanket, and the warmth of the heating pad. My son loves that, so you have to figure out what works for your child. And you and I both say this, but you really want your child to try to work on some of these when they don't need it, because you're what do you need while your child is, at the brink of letting the volcano go, or as we talk about, going up Anger Mountain? It's not the time to then be starting to introduce, would you like to do some jumping jacks? I mean, you'll get jumping jacks right into your face at that point.
Correct.
So how can we then work on some of these coping mechanisms outside of the time that they need them so that they can rely on them when they do need them?
You're absolutely right, Robyn, that we don't build new tools in the moment. We tap into the tools we have in the moment. And so outside of that moment's when you're building those, you're not going to show up to a marathon never having run before. You're going to practice. You're going to put those miles in ahead of time so that when you show up to that marathon, your body's like, okay, I can do this. I know what to tap into. When we're looking at coping, what we're really looking at is teaching kids how their brains and bodies work. We talk a lot about this in our household, and you can take that questionnaire for any age. So you can take it for your kiddos too, and it'll help you. I love taking it with kids. We use this questionnaire in school systems, and what we're doing is having folks go through the answers, sometimes the questions, but always the answers with the kids to show them, oh, yeah, your body is sensitive to sound. That makes sense that when the bell rings at school, it
Mm.
feels really overwhelming. Or when we're headed off to lunch and everyone's chatting and getting ready to head out to lunch, you feel overwhelmed. That makes sense. And then here is what helps you calm. These are things that your body seems to be really regulated by, and using those words and talking to them about how their brain and body works so that then they have that in their arsenal. They're never too young to start to use these words. And
Mhm.
when we talk to them about it, then we can say, oh man, you know what I noticed? I noticed that when you are working hard to figure out your homework after school and you've had a long day, you're so frustrated that you've been throwing your pen, you've been storming off. I want to help you figure this out. I
Mm.
noticed that your body seems to want to like spin. You know, when we were at Nana's house the other day and you were in that chair and you were just kind of
Oh yeah.
spinning in it, and we just bring that up and we say, "Oh yeah, your body spins because it helps you feel calm. Maybe we should try doing your homework in a chair that can spin. Let's see if that helps when you're feeling frustrated, if you
Mm.
can spin." And so, really bringing that sensory regulation in to give them the most capacity they can have for things like frustration tolerance. The goal isn't that they don't have these hard feelings, it's that they have the capacity to navigate them. And if
Mm.
they're at the end of their rope and they have nothing left to give, then they're not going to be able to navigate that frustration or disappointment or overwhelm of not being able to figure their homework out, or
Mm.
of their sibling being in their space and in their face. We want to increase that capacity, and we talk to them about that outside the moment, and then we can bring it into the moment when they're having a hard time.
So smart to do that. In the chapter one of my book, which is all on emotional intelligence and how to talk to kids about emotions, I talk about Wendy Young was on, and she was talking about having a kit. You know, I called it a combat calm down kit. I don't remember what she called it. A mad box. She called it
Uh-huh.
the mad box, so that you have it close by, because once you can then, you know, your child responds to calm music, you don't want to be fumbling for what to find. You want that right then and there. Or they like to color, or they like to drum, or what is the thing they need, a silent space. So we put a little teepee in the corner where they could just
Mhm.
go in and shut everything out. That can allow your child something right off the bat. And I've when I've been counseling schools or after school programs, I say you can do the same thing outside. Like they can bring it with them. Like a lot of these things are tools they can have in the car, they can have with them.
Yep.
Or you can have a space, and you see like some schools do have a space for kids to be able to have a sensory experience, but that's not always what works for kids. So sometimes, people will have the kids walk around the school. Take the paper from my office to the head office. It doesn't have anything necessary on it, but this kid needs to go for a walk because that's one of the things that works for them. So
Yep.
this travels. This information you're providing here travels, and I just really super appreciate it. One of the things you and I talked about right before we got on was like our kids showing the mirror to us.
Oh yeah.
My daughter is like legendary. Like
Yeah.
I loved your story about how you had your mirror shown to you. You wanted your child to show patience, and while at the same time not showing patience to your son while he was trying to put on his shoes, and he shouted, "You never wait for me." I was like, oh my God, we have all been there. My daughter has walked up to me, like held my arms and been like, "You need to take a breath." I was like, holy crap. Like, really?
Yep.
And she'll breathe with me. And I was like, who's the parent here?
Yeah.
But like,
She's a
this is when,
co-regulator.
right. Oh, I mean, she is good at that. And she's always been a good at that kind of thing.
Well, and
She's
she's your
shown,
neuroceptive sensitive human, right? So
yeah.
she's your energy reader.
Yes, she's the one who cried very loudly at three
Yeah.
months old when we put her in somebody's arms
Yeah.
yeah. So you know it right away. Um, it's hard when that mirror is shown to you.
So hard.
She's absolutely said, "You walked away from the table when you got frustrated, and you don't want me to do that now." And I was like, "Yep, there it is, there it is."
Mhm.
And you have to take that in.
Oh, yeah.
So, I talk about this idea of parenting out loud where you're like, start to, actually say what's going on in your head. I'm feeling impatient. My stomach is tight. My teeth are clenched. I need to take a break and breathe. And I need to tell myself this is not an emergency. You're basically broadcasting what you would hope your kid would do in the same situation, but you're also helping yourself, right?
Yep.
What techniques do you want parents to use in that moment, that crucial moment when they are about to lose it? It's not like they can go off and have a massage. So,
Totally.
what do you want them to do in the moment when they're about to lose it and they do want to have to model
Yeah.
positive coping mechanisms, but sometimes it's hard to access.
No, for sure. Because life happens.
Life happens. We're
I
human.
100%. So first of all, to know that like you're never gonna do this all the time, and that's so fine. In fact, it's necessary for repair to show them what it looks like to make the mistake and then have accountability for
Oh,
your
good. I've
parents
got
and all
that in the
jazz.
bag, Alyssa. Thank you.
You're welcome. But also in terms of what to do in the moment, that we talked about self-awareness in terms of self-awareness, self-reg, self-control. The same is true for us as adults, that we need to have access to self-awareness in order to have our breath be our first word. I love that from Jefferson Fisher.
So
And
good.
in order to access that, you need to have self-awareness. Otherwise, you're like, yeah, sounds great. Can't stop myself, right? Like afterwards, I see that I've exploded.
Yeah.
But so you've got to build your own self awareness first. The way that I started to do this was I set a series of alarms for myself: 9:12, 10:18, 11:24. And when they would go off, I would just notice what's happening and I would say it
Ooh.
out loud. So, like in front of my kids, anywhere, I would just say, oh, yeah, no, my heart's slow. Like my shoulders are down. I feel pretty calm. Or, oh, man, my heart is racing. I feel really overwhelmed right now. We're trying to get out the door. I feel stressed about not getting to that meeting. I just got to slow my heart down for a minute and just notice what's happening, say it, do it, move on. It's like 30 seconds max where I just would go through it. And what happens is you're training your brain to start to notice what's happening for you. It's like trying to build those tools in the moment. It's not going to happen. We got to practice it outside those hard moments. So I practice those a bunch. And then what happens is in those hard moments, you start to notice, oh, I'm going to blow before you blow. And that's when you're not going to say it in this like calm, regulated tone. You're not going to be like, oh, guys, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to take a break. Like, no, that's not real life.
It's not going to happen because you're so frustrated.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're human, and that is bonkers. And their nervous system would be like, "What is happening? I feel your crazy energy."
I mean, meanwhile,
and I
they're like
hear your calm tone.
screaming, or
Yes.
they're like, it's not like it stops, like
No.
when they're still arguing, they're
No.
still doing the thing.
Exactly. It also sends a weird message of like, why is your tone so calm, but everything about you is not? So letting yourself, exactly, letting yourself have that tone. It's like, wow, I am really overwhelmed. Or I'm so frustrated right now. I need to calm my body before I can help you. Or I'm going to separate you two to keep you safe while I calm down. And then that's it. Just stating whatever you can in the moment that acknowledges what's happening for you. And the key is that you are responsible for calming yourself down. It is not, you guys need to get it together. You need to stop bickering.
You're making me crazy.
Correct.
You're doing this. Yeah.
Correct. It is, I'm feeling this. I'm going to calm myself down and then I'm going to help you.
Oh, I love the boundary that you provide there too. I'm going to separate you. I'm going to take this space because that boundary is all about what we're doing, right?
Correct.
Not
it doesn't
like
involve them doing anything.
You've got to do this. You've got to stop doing this. You've got to, you've got to separate yourself. You've got to share.
Yep.
I'm going to take this truck and put it up here. I am going to go to my room. I am going to separate the two of you. And
I am going to stop answering you in the car for a minute because my brain needs a break, right? When we think of times where you can't walk away, you can't do anything, you're driving in the car, they are driving each other nuts.
This is my question number 7. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
I know you jumped.
And really just saying like, I am not taking questions right now. I'm going to put on music that I'm going to listen to calm my body. I'm going to help you as soon as I can.
So if they're arguing actively, you
Mhm.
can't get away from it in the car, which is
Nope.
what my question is. Or they're at the dinner table. Everybody has to eat.
Mhm.
And it's happening as a pattern. And it's not about how they're interacting with you, but clearly they want your attention, right?
Sure.
They may throw in a mom, she's doing this, mom,
Yep.
she's doing
Totally.
that, he's doing this. So when they're arguing the backseat of the car, you still have to get there, or they're sitting at the dinner table once again and they're arguing.
Mhm.
So the and they're not if they're not involving you, so it's not a I'm going to stop taking questions. What is the statement that you're saying? Because
Yeah.
they're going at it.
Yeah. So as long as they are physically safe,
Mm-hmm.
what's key is that you calm yourself first, right? So for me as a sound sensitive human, when you are sound sensitive, if you're in control of the sound, it's regulating. If you're not in control of the sound, it's dysregulating. So
Right.
them screaming at each other in the background is going to escalate my nervous system. If I want to tap into them in a regulated manner, I'm going to say, I'm going to pop on a podcast or I'm going to pop up on a song. And even if they're saying they hate it and they're screaming about it, I'm going to do it to calm myself because
Mm.
they're already dysregulated and what they need is a calm adult. And so I'm going to calm myself. I'm going to say, yep, we're going to do one song and then I'm going to be there with you. And I am going to sing or I am going to like be in my space so that then I can turn to them and say, man, you both are coming out of the school day and you're both fried. You both want my attention and you're driving each other crazy. We're going to figure out how to make this work. Right now, Sage, it's my son, here's what you can do. Mila, here's what you can do. And we're going to see if that works. Really, what we're going to do though is outside of this moment, if this is a trend, I just worked with a family on this at a school that we work at, where every day they're picking up 3 kids from school. The drive home is a disaster. And so we created a family plan outside the moment. Mom sat down with them and said, hey, when we are coming home from school, it's bonkers right now.
Mm.
I want to figure out with y'all what's going to be helpful because what we're doing right now isn't working. And went through each kid. Hey, when you're coming out of school, your body usually wants quiet. And I notice that your sister keeps talking to you in the car. Seems like that's driving you nuts. Your sister needs connection. She needs somebody to talk to or something to do to talk about her day. And then your brother is really trying to connect with you as well. And then that's driving your sister and you nuts at the same time. So let's look at this and figure out how can everyone get what they need in our 20-minute drive home from school.
Mm.
And they created a plan. And the bigger kid, normally they don't have like screens or anything like that in the car. The oldest one, who's the sensory sensitive one, who's like fried,
Mhm.
he is bringing his headphones and he's listening to something on his own. So he can listen to, they have a Yodo in their house, but he can listen to a podcast. He can listen to music. He's using a device where he pops in headphones. He's now not available to anybody else. He's just listening. We created a system where the daughter who is really connection seeking, when she comes into the car, once that big kid's headphones are on, she has 2 minutes to just offload her day to mom. Tell me about it. What's going on? I saw this thing happening with Marissa when you were leaving school, or your face looked like you were feeling frustrated about something. What happened today at school? And the little guy, he really loves like manipulatives. So they have a few different things that he can use. He has like a little small pack of Lego in the car. He has some different things that he can kind of manipulate. And he can listen in, he can ask questions as she's talking, but he has something to do with his hands. And then after she shares, he gets an opportunity to ask any questions or to share something. And so they have this system set up, but it took outside the moment
Mm.
creating that plan. And it doesn't mean every day is going to be perfect. It doesn't mean every day is going to be flawless, but the broken system of picking them up and hoping every day is going to be different without anything said outside the moment is never going to work.
Mm. What a beautiful way of dealing with this problem. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I know we're coming at the last minute, so give us your 10-second, 20-second top tip. What do you hope people
Mm.
walk away with from your book or from this podcast that you absolutely want them to do?
The thing we get the most questions about in this time period is really around like disrespect and defiance,
Mm-hmm.
where your kid is now looking at who they are and what their identity is outside of just the home, outside of just who am I at home. They're like, who am I at school? Who am I in this peer group? Now all of a sudden I need these shoes or this shirt, or I need to join this thing, or I want to be included in that thing. And really recognizing that as they're figuring out their identity, they're going to go through a lot of dysregulation. They're going to go through a lot of hard feelings where they're like, I feel left out. I feel disappointed. I'm anxious about going to school. I feel sad that I didn't get picked for this team. And that with that are going to come a lot of behaviors, because they're still learning how to say, I feel left out, or I'm feeling disappointed about this thing. And as they're building the skill set for communicating about those feelings, it's going to come out in new behaviors. And it is all just communication that they have a need for connection, a need for sensory regulation to calm their body, a need for inclusion or belonging. And when we can be a detective and really ask ourselves, man, what are they trying to tell me with this? Rather than reacting to the behavior, we can actually see long-term change.
Fabulous. Give us the resource of the week. Where can we go to get more information about you, your new book, and the great work you're doing?
Yeah, our mothership is seedandsow.org. You can also tune into the podcast, Voices of Your Village podcast, every Thursday. And Snag, Big Kids, Bigger Feelings is out now. Tiny Humans, Big Emotions is already out. And that regulation questionnaire is a great jumping off point, seedquiz.com. And if anyone has kids in school where they're interested in bringing this work to schools, that is the bulk of what we do. We work primarily with school systems and childcare programs to bring this work into schools. So feel free to reach out to us at support@seedandsow.org.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you were on the show today, and I will be thrilled to have you on again so we could talk about it more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I've got my takeaways, and sweet friends, I know you have yours. Let's discuss them. Come up to Facebook, go to the Dr. Robyn Silverman page, or let's chat about it under Instagram under Dr. Robyn Silverman. I'll be going back and forth with Alyssa all week under Seed and Sow, and we can talk to you about the podcast, about the books, and that will be so much fun, so interesting. We love to engage with the people who are listening, our loyal listeners. And if you love this podcast like I did, I hope you'll go to iTunes and rate and review it so other people can learn about Alyssa, her outstanding solutions, her book, and use them in their own homes. The more that we get those ratings, those 5-star ratings, the more that people learn about this podcast and the amazing people who are on it. And we can continue to give you these high impact people and listen to their solutions. So please take that moment, give that 5-star review. I truly appreciate it. That's all the time we have for today, my fellow parents, leaders, and educators. Thank you so much for tuning in to How to Talk to Kids About Anything. For more information on books, articles, speaking engagements, or curriculum, please go to drrobynsilverman.com. So many great podcasts up there, and the show notes to this podcast will be up there as well. I look forward to weathering the storms and enjoying the sunny side of life together. And please remember, even on the days when you fall short, you've got this. You're here, you're getting the information you need. I know it's not easy, but never forget there's typically a tomorrow. Parenting is that ultimate do-over. So if you heard something today and you thought, I haven't done that, I didn't say that, I didn't react in that way, don't bash yourself. Instead, take it as a cue to do it as a do-over. Go to your child and say, let's have this conversation again. Go to your child, apologize, and say, you know what? I didn't handle that in the way that I wanted to. Let's do it this way. Try again. It will mean so much. I see you and I'm right there with you. And as there are moments when we doubt our know-how, our choices, and our sweet, sweet sanity, please know you are 10 times the parent you think you are. Until next time, this is Dr. Robyn Silverman with How to Talk to Kids About Anything. Please tune in again and keep connecting through conversation. See you next week.
You've been listening to How to Talk to Kids About Anything with Dr. Robyn Silverman. For more information on books, articles, speaking engagements, or curriculum, please visit drrobynsilverman.com.